Well, Lash, obviously a tough loss for the team tonight. What do you think kind of led to the 4-0 loss here?
Well, it's mistakes. Obviously, we talked about it as a group. Obviously, after the last game, is trying to be harder to play against in the offensive zone, especially try to create more, and just a lot of perimeter stuff. The last couple of games, that's kind of catching up to us. We're getting Wednesday night we had a lot of shots, but not a lot of pressure or hard area chances, and tonight it was a lot of the same for the majority of the game. So um, we got to dig deep here. We're in a crucial part of the season playing a team that is above us in the standings, and there's a lot that needs to go into to us for the next couple months here to dig ourselves out of the hole.
This is a very young team too, as well. Obviously, you veterans like Chris Golo, yourself, and Zarnik. But last week's a good week with points in 3 straight games, a couple wins, but now this week starting off with a couple losses here. What's the message in the room that you're giving to these young guys to kind of try to get them refocused, especially with an important game against Chicago tomorrow?
Well, I think that's the most important thing is obviously right now we got the next game we get tomorrow night, and it's a must win for us. And I think it's been a bit of a roller coaster for us the first half here, where we've played good in spurts and then regressed a little bit. And this last 2 weeks has been a perfect example. We had a good week last week, and then now this week we started it off with 2 losses, and it's unacceptable right now. I think we have the team in there to put together a long run, and but it doesn't just happen. I mean, I think as a group we gotta decide that this is enough's enough. We can't keep going on these win a couple, lose a couple type streaks where we're not going to get out of this hole by doing that. So I think it's as a group coming together and making sure that tomorrow night is got to be a must win type effort.
After the loss on Wednesday, we talked with Kyle, we talked with a couple other people. We asked, what does this team need to do to get these wins? Some of these close games you guys have been playing in as well. From your perspective as a captain, what do you think the players need to do to try to find a way to just get these 2 points when they have the opportunity?
I think managing your game. I think there's opportunities in games. There's times where nothing's going to happen. There's nothing's going to happen in a say 45, 60-second shift. Nothing's going to happen. You got to be okay with that. You got to be okay with living to fight another day. Whether it's you might spend a shift in your own zone, but not much happens, and then not chase it. Get off the ice and then come back and kind of spur momentum, as the game goes on. Be okay with it being tight for a long period of time. Be okay, playing a shift or two in your own end, and then getting back in the ozone maybe the next shift. I mean, not trying to make a home run play at every single shift. I mean, I think having patience like that is a sign of a mature team, a team that plays their identity and plays leans on their identity to win tight games. And we got to learn that you know you're not going to win a game in the first period, and you're not going to lose a game by one bad shift. I think having the maturity to kind of bounce back is important.
Well, Coach, what are your your first reactions to the 4-0 loss tonight?
I thought we stunk. I thought that there was zero effort. There was zero, pardon my French, there's zero give a shit. That's frustrating as a coach. You either want to compete and you want to play hard or you don't. Plain and simple.
Obviously, the special teams had something to do with that as well. You give up a shorthanded goal, had a couple of good chances, just wasn't able to convert. And especially last week, the teams had a couple of chances, a couple of goals in the power play. But how do you think that's been so
Well,
far?
you look at the goals. I mean, you give up a 5-on-3, goes off the post, hits one of our guys, goes in. The shorthanded goal against is really totally unacceptable. Uh, like it's frustrating as a coach, and I'm sure the guys are frustrated. But at the same time, is you have to get pissed off in the right way, and I just don't think that we're doing that right now.
We just talked with Lash about how the team right now is trying to stay in the playoff push, and he said losing games like this certainly doesn't help. What is the message to the players after a game like this to try to get them refocused, especially with a big game against a rival in Chicago tomorrow?
Well, the message after the game is you gotta grind. You gotta love the grind, and I don't think as a team we're grinding hard enough. You know, we talked about getting to the hard areas, getting pucks on net, making sure we're net focused, and playing a grittier game. Now, are we the grittiest team? Are we the biggest bunch of physically? No, but you can still play hard. You can still compete. You can still get inside guys. You can still find ways to be hard to play against, and we're not doing that.
Andrew Shine did get in a fight in the first period. It looked like it may have juiced the team a little bit there. Do you think? I'm not saying there needs to be more fight to get the team going, but do you think that little bit of edge that Shine brings to this team can kind of help the younger guys get a little bit inspired here?
Yeah, well, look, Dominic Shine, he wears his heart on his sleeve. When he's effective for this team, he's playing like that, and I think guys should maybe take a look and see what he'll tell you that he'll be the first guy to tell you he's not the most talented guy, but he's made a niche for himself. He established himself in this league. Uh, the guys need to be way more. He's not the biggest guy. If you bring him in here and you looked at him or you saw him in the gym, you'd say, okay, he's not the biggest guy, but he plays hard. He competes. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and those are the guys that we want.
Nedeljkovic has played every single game he's got sent down here. After a little bit of a rough game for him tonight, we expect to see him again tomorrow night against Chicago.
I haven't talked to Alex yet after the game. We've just been kind of looking at a couple things on tape, so we'll assess in the mornings how we're feeling and make a decision then. Sure.
And next up on Zoom is Elaine.
Hey, Coach. You mentioned net focused. I noticed the past two games, though, that you guys have done a lot of perimeter work. Didn't rush the net as much as normal. Were they just having trouble getting towards the net, or what do you think was going on there?
I think you either want to go to the hard areas or you don't. And plain and simple. It's hard to in any league. It's hard to score goals. It's hard to put the puck in the back. If it were easy, Christ, I would have played a lot longer. But you've got to have a willingness to go to those hard areas, a willingness to compete, a willingness to win puck battles, and at the end of the day, it comes down to either you want to go to those areas or you don't.
Yeah. How do you kind of pull that willingness out of them, or does that just fall on them?
Well, that's the age-old question. That's what we're beating around in the coaches' room is how do we get these guys to be more committed to showing that willingness? And, obviously we've got to find a way to get it to them.
Yeah. Now the past few games, strong defensively, and then tonight it just wasn't kind of there. Is there like a miscommunication going on? They've kind of left Ned out to dry maybe a few times, a little screening here and there, the net wide open. Is there like a communication issue or?
No, I mean, look at the goals. I mean, there was a shorthanded goal against, it was off a turnover. There was a 5-on-3 goal against, which, you obviously are going to give up chances when you're two men short. It wasn't, there weren't a ton of huge D zone lapses. It was just the consistent compete wasn't there. And it really in every facet, not just the D zone. It was in every aspect of our play.
Perfect. Thank you. That's all I have.
Sure.
Andrew's up next.
Coach, I asked you before about consistency with this lineup, and you said it starts with, just working hard. The identity of this team centers on how hard it competes. So why is it kind of so hard to find consistency from one night to the next, do you think?
Well, yeah, honestly, we're a game. We've played 34 games now. And it's fresh. I still think we're trying to find our identity. And when we've had a lot of transactions that have had a little bit of from game to game, a change in our line. The consistency hasn't been there, but that's an excuse. You show up and you're paid to play a game, which is great. So you have to have fun because for a living you play a game for a living, but this game goes by way too fast and way too quick, and it'll pass you by if you don't compete. So whether or not you're 5'9" or you're 6'5", And I'm not talking about you've got to be the biggest, toughest, strongest guy. You just have to show the willingness to compete, and you have to show the willingness to play together as a team. And right now we're not doing that. And that's very frustrating. The room, we look like, and we do, like, we are a close knit group of guys, but it's not translating on the ice right now. And you do go through that as a season progresses. You're going to have your ups and your downs, and it's going to, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. It could get ugly if we don't get our act together, and it has, and we got to find a way to dig ourselves out. But I've been through situations like this before as a coach, and I talked to the guys about that after the game. And, you know, 1 year as an assistant coach in Toronto, I think we started the year off 12-25 or something, and we ended up winning 42, 43 games that year and made the playoffs. And ironically enough, we lost to Grand Rapids, but it's possible. But the longer you wait, you know, the harder it gets.
And then just one more from me. Jacob Vrana had the night off on Wednesday. He's out of the lineup again tonight. Just sticking purely to hockey, you know, what does he kind of have to do with his game, either in practice or, you know, on game nights, to kind of, you know, just get back to that level of player that we know that he's capable of?
Compete. Same theme as everyone else. Compete.
Yep. All right. That's it for me. Thanks, Coach.